All right, folks, once again, I am Tom Downey. Go follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more NFL coverage. And we'll take you now to a list of players who could be dealt before the NFL trade deadline. Now, not every player on this list will be moved, and I'm sure there will be guys who aren't on it who will be moved as well. But these are some notable names to watch out for as we get closer to that October 30th NFL trade deadline. First up is a Cardinals linebacker. I'll go with Deone Bucannon here. He hasn't been much of a fit for the new defense, and this is the exact type of player that a bad team should sell. Final year of his contract, apparently no longer really fits the defense all that well, and other NFL teams need linebackers. Now, he has an $8.7 million salary this season. Now, that's going to be cut in about half. That's still quite a bit for a team to take on. But there are quite a few teams that I think are in need of a linebacker, and here are just a couple teams I think make sense for Bucannon as potential trade fits. The Kansas City Chiefs, Anthony Hitchens and Reggie Ragland, they're not getting the job done. Those two guys have struggled this year. The Steelers need help against tight ends. Bucannon can fill that role. I think he'd be great in New England. And the Rams and Bucks, well, they could always be in the market for some more linebacker safety type hybrids, although Bucannon and Barron might kind of play a little bit too similar of a role. All right, folks, I am hosting my free-to-play NFL Pick'em game on BetDSI. Sign up for free, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code LIVE120 when you do it, just in case you want to deposit. And then DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for the game link. Make your picks. If you come in first place, I'll send you guys $25. All right, next up, and the guy that I think is most likely to next be dealt by the Oakland Raiders is Karl Joseph. Now, Oakland reportedly wants a third-round pick for Joseph. I don't know if they'll get that, but then again, I didn't think there was any chance they were going to get a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, so maybe they will. But Joseph has totally fallen out of favor in Oakland, hasn't even been playing, is banged up right now. I think you're looking at more of a mid-day 3 selection for Karl Joseph. But with that said, there are teams I think make some sense. And the big one for me is the Atlanta Falcons. And they lead the way here at number 1 for me. I think they'd be a perfect fit there. They're all banged up at safety. They need help. The Eagles also make sense. The Chiefs are looking for somebody to pair with Eric Berry. The Cowboys, maybe they should have got Joseph as well as Amari Cooper in one trade. And the Packers, by the way, Josh Jones can't even get on the field, and Kentrell Brice has not been very good. But as for the Falcons, this is kind of what I envision a deal looking like. The Falcons get Karl Joseph, of course, and the Raiders get a 5th-round pick back. Now, maybe you can talk him into a 4th. I have a tough time seeing a 3rd for a guy that can't get on the field. And for Atlanta, this gives you the depth that you need right now because Atlanta, don't let anyone tell you otherwise, they think they can still make a playoff run. And a guy like Joseph to help you out in the secondary and get rid of a Jordan Richards, for example, helps you in terms of starting, helps you out in a big, big way. So for the Falcons, I think a 5th-round pick is a good value there. And for the Oakland Raiders, you get something for a guy that clearly is no longer in your long-term plans. We'll stick some more here with the Oakland Raiders because Gareon Conley, as mentioned in our NFL Rumors segment, appears to be on the trade block. And teams, rightfully so, are rather interested in adding Gareon Conley. Now, he did not play in Week 6 the last time the Oakland Raiders played. But he's still a young, talented corner. I think he'd bring back a good return. I don't know if you'd get a true first-round selection for him, but I think you could at least get a 2nd-round pick, maybe a 2nd and some change there as well. So if I'm the Raiders and you really don't think Conley is in your future anymore, trade him away for something else. And by the way, there are multiple teams that make sense for Conley. Here are my top 5 that I think are a good fit for Conley. You have the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, they need a cornerback help. The Browns can put Conley back in Cleveland. They can have now a dynamic duo, potentially the OSU duo, Denzel Ward and Gareon Conley. Pittsburgh needs cornerback help. So do the Patriots, and I'll throw the Seahawks out there as well. They need somebody else to pair with Shaq Griffin. Why not Conley? If you can get him for a 2nd or 3rd-round pick, although Seattle does not have a 2nd-round pick, maybe it makes a little bit of sense for that team. All right, one more Oakland guy here, Jared Cook. This is the type of guy that really doesn't fit the Raiders' long-term plans. He's in the last year of his deal. He's old. He makes a little bit of money. I don't think he'd be very expensive in a trade. Now, hats off to Reggie McKenzie. He's gotten more than I thought he'd get, frankly, for Mac and for Amari Cooper. So if you're a team like the Raiders, it makes a lot of sense to trade away Jared Cook because guess what? Winning does not matter right now. It definitely makes you worse. Who cares? It's better to get something extra for next year, even if it is a late round pick. Now for Cook, I think a team like the Houston Texans makes a lot of sense as a fit there because the Texans, well, they need some more help there. So for the Texans, you can trade away, let's say, a 7th-round pick, and then boom, you have an extra tight end there. You have some more help. You can help those young guys develop. Cook helps you right now, gives you another option to help grow with Deshaun Watson. I don't think he'd be that expensive. Maybe a team like the Cowboys could also make some sense. How about a bigger name now? How about LeSean McCoy? Now, the Bills haven't shown much interest in a trade. The Eagles, though, they did call about LeSean McCoy, and I think deep down that current regime has always wanted to bring back McCoy for what they view as a mistake by Chip Kelly in the first place. Now, the Bills originally, reportedly, wanted a 2nd and a 3rd-round pick. At the risk of repeating myself about the Amari Cooper thing, I don't think the Bills will get that for LeSean McCoy. I like him. He's got a couple years left on his deal, but he's been banged up. He hasn't played all that well this season. Not his fault, because the Bills' offensive line and receiving core and quarterbacks are not very good. I don't see you getting a 2nd and a 3rd-round pick for LeSean McCoy. But maybe the Eagles, who are a little bit more desperate now than what they were, say, you know what? We got to do it. Give them a 2nd-round pick. Now, remember, the Eagles do have 2 of them. One of their own, the other from the Baltimore Ravens. So who says no to this one? Let me know in the comments section. Type A for the Eagles, type B for the Bills, naturally. It's a lot to give up for McCoy. The Bills hold out. They get a good pick. Helps their long-term rebuild because, frankly, I think a 2nd-round pick is more important for the Bills than having LeSean McCoy for this year and next, when you're not really going to compete unless you really think McCoy is that essential to Josh Allen's development. More offensive players, Devante Parker, and this has been kind of weird because his agent really ripped Adam Gase, and Parker says, no, we're fine. Adam Gase and I are chill. The Dolphins have not been necessarily shopping Parker, but they've been listening to calls and have asked for a 3rd-round pick, which is pretty insane to me because that's wildly inflated his value. Devante Parker, yes, a former high 1st-round pick, hasn't done much of anything. He's been banged up all year long. When he's been on the field, he hasn't been all that great. I don't think you're getting a 3rd-round pick. Now, with that said, there are several teams that have expressed some interest and also make sense for a need perspective. So I think the Colts make sense for one because, yes, they're not that great right now, but Parker's still young. It's a flyer-type move. See if you can develop him. The Eagles have shown interest. They need a big-bodied receiver. The Redskins do because all their guys are banged up and or not that good. The Titans need a number 2 to help out Corey Davis and slot guy Twan Taylor. And the Cardinals fit that Colts mold. They got to get somebody else out there in Arizona to help out Christian Kirk and Josh Rosen for the long term. But my trade package here, Devante Parker for a conditional 6. Now, that might be a little bit low if the Dolphins do move Parker. I just don't think he has that much trade value right now. He hasn't done much of anything. He's been a bust, and he makes a lot of money in future years or in the last year of his deal. So if Parker does get moved, I don't think you're going to see him go for a lot of money. Or a lot of, in terms of, not money, draft capital. I just don't think he's worth all that much. All right, folks, today's show was brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. You can go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. Put down $100, they'll give you $120 for free for a grand total of $220 to bet with on BetDSI if you use promo code LIVE120 at chatsports.com/bet. All right, another receiver here that I don't think will get dealt but is worth monitoring is Demaryius Thomas. Now, Denver did look into shopping and trading Thomas. They did not get the offers that they wanted, and I think in large part because this is a declining older receiver who's going to make $14 million next year. At that point, maybe Denver wanted way too high of a pick. Maybe teams just weren't all that interested in Demaryius Thomas. I just don't think he's going to get dealt. But if he does get dealt, here are 5 teams to watch out for. The Dolphins, there's the Adam Gase connection there. I think that makes a lot of sense for both parties, really. That Gase gets a receiver that he knows and likes, and maybe it helps out Brock Osweiler. Oh, God, the Dolphins, by the way, who are competing for a playoff spot. So it makes a little bit more sense than maybe it seems like there. So the Redskins are an option there. The Eagles as well, Titans, and the Seahawks. But here's my trade for Demaryius Thomas. I don't think it's very much. Now, it's more than a Devante Parker trade, but I think it's only a conditional 5th-round pick. With that amount of money and contract due this year and next, it's not a contract that you want to take on. It's not quite a Brock Osweiler contract. That's a completely negative asset, but it seriously brings down the trade value of Demaryius Thomas. Another Denver player that I think should be shopped, and we'll see if he actually is Shane Ray. A former 1st-round pick, has hardly played this season. Now, Denver strikes me as a seller at the trade deadline. We'll see if that ends up being the case. But they don't need Shane Ray. They have Von Miller. They have Bradley Chubb. They have Shaquille Barrett. Why bring in Shane Ray? You don't need him anymore. Go get something for him before he walks away for free in free agency. And if you're a team like the Detroit Lions, you already made one big splash trade to get Damon Harrison. Why not throw a 7th-round pick for a guy that maybe can actually help you out as an edge rusher? The Lions' pass rush this year has been atrocious. So go trade for Shane Ray. Give up only a 7th-round pick. Maybe it's a 6th or something like that. But give up a late-round selection and see if you can hit a potential, even maybe a single or a double. It's not going to be a home run. Shane Ray's not that great. But you help yourself out in terms of your pass rush. And frankly, that is what the Lions need right now. All right, folks, if you guys like what I'm wearing, go get your own Mizzen and Main shirt. You can get one today. Comfortable.af is the website. You will not own a more comfortable dress shirt than a Mizzen and Main shirt. Trust me on that, folks. They are made right here in America. I sleep in these. They are that comfortable. All right, another player that I do want to mention here is Janoris Jenkins. And I think it makes a lot of sense for the Giants to trade him away because this is a rebuilding team, right? And the Giants fans just said you could win the NFC East this year. It's not happening. Sorry, folks. They are in a rebuilding process, and this is the type of player that you try to shop. Because when we get to the end of the season and we get to the offseason, I don't know if Jenkins is going to be back in 2019 regardless. He's making quite a bit of money. I don't think he's a legit long-term piece for this Giants program, and frankly, he's kind of hit the wall. And I think that's going to drive down his trade value. I think you're going to be looking around a Damon Harrison type return for Jenkins. It's not going to be a lot, but there are teams that need a cornerback. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one. They need someone to go with Joe Hayden because Artie Burns hasn't looked all that good. I'll put them at number 1. The Seahawks, I think, would be a good fit for Jenkins, and if they're trying to win right now, maybe give a mid to late round pick. Makes sense. Houston needs another outside guy. I think the Chiefs, who probably need a safety more, could also be a fit for Jenkins. The Patriots, well, they've had great success with older cornerbacks and revamping them. And then as for Jenkins, look, it's kind of a one-year rental. He's not the same guy that he once was, but he can help out an NFL team, especially if you're Pittsburgh, who is trying to win right now. Maybe that mid-round pick ends up being worth it. All right, one more guy that I want to mention here, and this one is kind of me getting a little bit out there and crazy, so let me know in the comments section if you do think I actually am insane, is Jacoby Brissett. Now, the Colts don't need him. Backup quarterbacks are valuable, but they don't need him. Now, the Colts wanted a first-round pick for Brissett, at least according to owner Jim Irsay. That ain't going to happen. If you're the Colts and you know you're not going to do much this year, doesn't it make sense to trade away Jacoby and get a potentially high draft pick? It is not going to be a good 2019 draft class. And if Justin Herbert doesn't go pro, and neither does Dwayne Haskins, it's the worst class we've seen since that year E.J. Manuel went in round 1. That's how bad of a class it could end up being. And if you're the New York Giants and you don't think you're going to get Herbert, you can't go into next year with Eli Manning or Kyle Lauletta starting, right? Unless you really, really want to tank. So maybe you think Brissett is the answer. Maybe you trade away a second-round pick. You're not going to give your first. You're not that stupid. And then you actually have your quarterback in. And you have the entire year to see if he can truly be your franchise guy, and next year too. And you can invest elsewhere in the draft, because if Herbert doesn't go pro, and this is what this trade idea is built around, if the Giants really don't think Herbert's going to go pro, get a better guy. I don't know if Brissett is truly the franchise guy, but I'd take him over Eli Manning right now. And yeah, the Giants are selling, but a couple months ago, they thought they were going to make a run at the NFC East at the minimum. That's why they passed on a quarterback. So I would hope the Giants say no to this one, but I would say it's at least a possibility, and I wouldn't quite rule it out. Maybe the Colts say no as well, but let me know if you guys think I'm a crazy person or not in the comments section. I think it'd be a decent idea, even though I don't know if I'd do it either if I was the Giants. All right, folks, I do have my free NFL Pick'em game, chatsports.com/bet, promo code LIVE120. Sign up is free. DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. If you get the most picks right, you come in first place, I will hook you guys up with $25. So chatsports.com/bet, and then DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for the game link.